Today we've heard from the Wilder Foundation, a real community asset. And then we've heard reflections from two of our AMSD school districts, Osseo and Minneapolis, about internal reflections. We're going to be describing the story of a partnership. Shane, who are you?
Hi, so my name is Shane Hofer. I'm the Executive Director at the White Bear Area YMCA, part of the YMCA of the Greater Twin Cities. And just a little background about myself, got my start with the Y a very long time ago, sometime in the 1990s as a lifeguard, never quite managed to leave. And today I'm very fortunate to play a role in the White Bear Y. I also have moved my family into that community. So my son attends John's school, and we're very much embedded in a part and parcel of that area.
And Shane, we have a couple of guests from the Greater Twin City Y. Do you want to introduce them as well?
So our Chief Operating Officer, Todd Tibbetts, is here with us today, as well as our Chief Financial Officer, Greg Weibel. And they'll be available to help answer questions at the end of the presentations as well today.
John Leininger.
Thank you. I'm John Leininger, principal of Matoska International. We're an international baccalaureate school. I've been working in White Bear Schools since 1990, and it has have lots of roots in the YMCA going all the way back to about 1984. So deep roots in both organizations here.
Thank you, John. I'm Mike Lovett. I'm in my 8th year as school superintendent for the White Bear Lake area schools. My association with the Y is twofold. When I was in 7th grade, I went to Minneapolis Bryant Junior High School and had swim lessons. But my next connection was really in the White Bear Lake area schools. I'm currently on the general board of the YMCA for the Twin Cities. I'm one of 3 school superintendents. Linda Madsen from Forest Lake and David Law from Anoka are also members of the general board of the YMCA. We're going to tell you the story of 2 community assets that are working together to provide access, opportunity, for all families and for all children, and really from our standpoint, creating the type of community that we need so that all students are going to achieve. Let's take you back a little while. Back in history, the White Bear Lake area schools actually started in the 1850s. The first school was built to serve both the American Indians, natives to the community, and to the most recent immigrants, which happened to be from England. The school's district actually started graduating students in the 1890s within the little community of White Bear Lake in a building that's still there today. And by the 1920s, there was a new school, which you see to your left.
And the Y also goes back quite a way. So we got our start in London in 1844 and in St. Paul in 1856, about the same time that the White Bear School District found its legs. On the right-hand side of the slide, you can see a YMCA built in downtown White Bear Lake in 1907, a building that stands today. So you can imagine some of these kids moving back and forth between these facilities, dance, gymnastics, basketball over here on the right, and then the learning on the left.
So nearly 100 years ago, we were already partnering, but we didn't think about it in the same way. Come forward 100 years. In the last decade, to your left is our most recent school, Onika Elementary School, state-of-the-art, and
the YMCA in White Bear. And so to give you a sense, 2010 and really recreated, the building first got its start in 1971. And the full name of our facility is White Bear Area YMCA and White Bear Lake Area Schools YMCA Aquatic Center.
Now, it should be no surprise to you that over that 100-year period, the demography of the school district changed. We had more new immigrants. We had refugees. In the same sense, we had people who lived there and newcomers. The newcomers who are here now are different, even than 15 years ago. Today, the White Bear Lake area schools, a school district with nearly 9,000 students, pre-K through 12, is about 20% students of color, about 30% free and reduced lunch, and our children come collectively from homes where 57 different languages are spoken. We've had a number of partnerships, and I really came in when the partnerships were working hard. My predecessor, Ted Blazing, said, Mike, there's some potential partnerships that you're going to come in on. They're really messy. I don't know whether any of them are going to work. And when I came, I agreed. It's messy. I don't know whether any of this is going to work. But what we learned in retrospect, that when you're building a partnership, you need to start with a common mission. That is, before trust, you have to see that you have something in common. You take action, usually small steps. Ultimately, you build some type of an agreement, and then you continually need to keep evaluating. Just as we evaluate every year what we're doing within our system, when you have a partnership, you need to keep evaluating.
So the missions of the organization say a lot of different things in different words. But what we discovered in working together is that the meaning was very much shared. And so both of us found life and purpose in building up young people in different ways. And in some cases, achievement looked like something a little bit different, but really it was about creating people who are ready to be successful contributors to the broader community.
So you don't start with trying to just address the achievement gap. You start by creating opportunities for family and student access and opportunity, making everybody feel and genuinely be part of the community. We next went to core values. You all have core values of some kind. For ours, compassion, integrity, respect, responsibility, and service.
And at the Y, caring, honesty, respect, and responsibility. Those are our 4 core values, true across the country.
And when we looked at that, we realized that we really have a great deal in common. In fact, if we take our core values and we put them together, it's very difficult when we're fundamentally looking at who we are and what we believe. We see a great deal of commonness.
The YMCA enunciated or clarified our strategic priorities last spring. But this was an evolution of strategic overlap, I think, that we've identified between the schools and the YMCA that goes back quite some time. And so particularly when you look at areas around helping students to succeed and really addressing the achievement and opportunity gap, and also around partnering and collaborating in the community to do things that we couldn't do on our own, we found a lot of common work in our strategic plans.
So for us to achieve the work that we want to do in the schools, we recognized that we had partners in the community that shared some of the same strategic goals. We just needed to be willing to partner. What we'll now do is describe 4 or 5 partnerships that we've had in place that have developed over the last decade.
Water safety got its start with our Y a long time ago. And when Dr. Lovett talked about initial steps, we started these pilots and identified, White Bear schools didn't have any swimming pools built. I think how many levees did
wait, they tried. I understood that over 50 years there were 7 failed referendums. It was something about having a lake.
Yeah, it was actually 8 failed referendums.
It was 8 failed referendums. But it just did not work.
Didn't work. And so the YMCA became part and parcel with the school district in a lot of respects. And so we said, hey, you know what? Drowning's not okay. It's just not okay for any kids. And so 2005-06, we started this partnership with a local elementary school, Willow Lane. And these kids started coming over to the Y on a bus and getting basic water safety classes.
But this started with our most diverse school, about 50% children of color, about 60% free and reduced lunch. Not surprisingly, Willow Lane in 2008, the 3rd year into that partnership, was also a national school of excellence. We were building community.
The YMCA, a couple things about drowning, and I'm probably preaching to the choir, and so you probably know, drowning continues to be the 2nd leading cause of death for children under ages of 14. If they're not going to be perish in a car accident, the swimming pool or the lake is the next most dangerous place to be. Kids who are black in particular are 3 times as likely to die in a drowning incident as a white child. And so as a YMCA, we've said absolutely no more, not acceptable. And this partnership has blossomed out of that commitment. And so where this ended up is in 2010, this little pilot partnership grew into a really collaborative community-wide initiative that grabbed in local White Bear Township, the City of White Bear Lake, the school district, and the Y in a way that this brand new aquatic center was built, and really around the core of bringing 650 second graders from 8 local elementary schools in the White Bear School District to the Y as a part of the school day for basic water safety ed.
So this is a partnership, not only the White Bear Lake area schools and the YMCA, but our city and our township also participated financially. The fact that we all worked together meant that private donations around these concepts of creating access and opportunity for all students. Everybody pulled together. It's been a remarkable partnership. The building also includes a teen center, which we cooperatively use and plan. Next partnership, we didn't stop there.
So just as with water safety, we identified gaps where we'd be able to collaborate and partner to better serve the community. Childcare is one of those areas, and so we found a spot where the Y had an interest in serving the community and creating opportunities for families in a full-day childcare setting. It was something the school district at that point wasn't able to do on its own, and so we thought, let's get together and try something. We started this program actually 2007 or so, and it blossomed in 2011, right after the renovation at the YMCA, into an opportunity where we could plant a significant child care center inside an elementary school, and one with a strong mission bent. So about half of the kids involved in that program receive financial aid and require it to be there. And these are kids who, to be quite honest, wouldn't have an opportunity to go to a part-time preschool, wouldn't have an opportunity to get some of the basic early learner curriculum that many of their more well-off peers have that as a just kind of a privilege, I suppose.
So for this clientele, these parents and these preschoolers are getting to know the school principal, and they're in real school by our cooperation with the YMCA. It didn't stop there, though. John, how long have you been principal? Well, let me go first. How long have you been a teacher at Matoska?
Well, I started in 1990, was there for about 18 years.
That was about the same time that the Y was founded, right?
Correct.
Oh, excuse me, wrong century. And how long have you been? How long have you been principal?
6 years as principal.
Tell us a little bit about how Matoska has changed over
Yeah.
the time you've been there.
Thank you. And I think someone pointed out the other day that it's been a quarter century that I've been involved, which I can only say time flies when you're having fun. But White Bear Lake has always been great at providing opportunities and initiatives to be thinking creatively. When I came on in the 1990s, White Bear Lake was a real different place. Primarily white, upper middle class, and over time that's been a changing demographics. And I would say for the very profoundly positive for our community. In that, though, we see lots of different needs, lots of things that were changing, obviously. But then a lot of things didn't change. So we knew our demographics were changing. Matoska International, like our school district, about 20% students of color, about 25% free and reduced lunch. But some things didn't change. That strong community feel, the strong feeling for taking care of everyone in our community, and those strong partnerships. So when I came on board, we were taking a look at our students and where we were achieving and where we could grow and improve. And obviously there was a lot of places that we could improve. And one of those things we looked at was the ways that we support students outside of school. Many of our schools around our state, around all of our communities, we have lots of great targeted services programs. But we found that there wasn't a real good, consistent way that we could deliver those kinds of support. A lot of let's throw it against the wall, see if it sticks. So through the aquatics program, we had an opportunity to have lots of great conversations. What else can the Y do? How does your mission look? How does our mission look? How can we continue to partner? The YMCA had plenty of programs around our state, around the nation, around the world that modeled different kinds of things. And we began conversations of how we could build a program for our students at Matoska International. Thus began Y Zone. So our White Bear teachers, in collaboration with our YMCA staff, began to think of how we can develop lessons specifically designed to meet the needs of our kids, as well as provide opportunities for so many of those things that the YMCA does well. Those social emotional things, how to win and lose, how to play games, how to have fun, how to be engaged. So our Y Zone was started with a small pilot program 3 years ago, and it's continued to grow since then. We have about 50 students that participate 3 days a week. They come down, they get a healthy snack, they dive in, they do their academics, their reading, writing, mathematics that are specifically geared towards those students, and they get a chance to play, have fun, engage, and learn many of those social skills. So one of the most frequently asked questions is, well, how does it work? And there are a lot of factors that go into that. We know there are great parents, there are great programs in school, great programs outside of school. But we do know that the students who participate in Y-Zone, when we look at our MAP growth data, the growth targets, 70 to 80% of our students are meeting their growth targets when they're participating in these programs, which is outperforming our general population as a whole, which is about 60, 70%. So we're proud of our partnership. We're proud of our teachers and our staff, proud of the YMCA. We just look forward to continuing that partnership and seeing how we can continue to learn and grow and build on this.
John, thank you. Now, for people who like graphs and charts, you have some materials that we provided you, and John has provided a nifty graph with different colors of bar lines and things like that. So you can actually look at those results, and John would, or Shane would be happy to talk more about that. But there's one other one that has been really blossoming over the last few years. Tell us a little bit about the outreach to middle school students, Shane.
Thank you. So, the last several years, we've been able to find a place to partner around working with kids who've been referred by the schools as needing a little extra support in the middle school area. And so, we work with Ramsey County and actually also District 622 in delivering the Teen Outreach Program, and it's a nationally certified program where kids go through a process where they meet every week for a year. And really, these are kids who are folks that we're going to be concerned about on some level. Maybe they're more likely or they're at risk, or we're worrying that they're going to fail class, they're going to cut class, they're not going to come to school, or they're going to get pregnant. So the curriculum is designed around those subjects, and we see measurable improvements in behavior and what we would, in some cases, classify as risky behavior in all of those areas. And so it's been a remarkable program. I think we've got about 60 students participating at 2 middle schools in White Bear this year. And really, it's also a program that's really focused around community service learning. And so these kids begin the year in a place where they're just trying to figure out how to work together as a team, and by the end of the year they're delivering significant community service projects that in some cases have written grants for themselves to go out and do things, serve the community. In some cases it's just sort of a traditional helping out and around the community, but really a meaningful experience for these kids.
And Shane, one of the things I've noticed is that we're not going out to try to fix kids. We're really building community, and that building of community is really around service. I had something that was surprised last spring when we had a Congresswoman McCollum visiting Sunrise Middle School. And a couple of the students were involved in this program. And one was a student I knew very well because for 3 years she'd been on my superintendent's middle school advisory committee. And she started describing the sense of community and how special that was. It was a voluntary group. They were coming together. At first they were shy. They didn't feel particularly connected, but how much they learned and how much they did together. Again, if you think back to creating access for all children, for all family, opportunities for all family, and that does translate into closing that achievement gap. So we've talked about partnerships, and take you back to where we started. Remember the common mission and the core values. You may be closer to some of your community partners than you realize. Sometimes we unintentionally end up in silos, even though we really have the same vision, or we have a common vision for students. You have to do something. Start small. The water safety program started because one elementary principal at Willow Lane Elementary, Barb Kern, said, could we work out something with the children we have in school? I don't think a lot of them have ever even been in a swimming pool. Could we try that out? The superintendent then gave permission. That started something that is really now full community commitment. There's a partnership agreement. It starts pretty simple. When you start spending millions of dollars, you figure out some agreements. There's some very good models in place. We're happy to share what we've learned. We shared what we learned when Forest Lake was considering a partnership with the YMCA. There are lots of good models out there. And then finally, you continue to evaluate. And evaluate doesn't mean you just keep with what you're doing. It means, as in the case of John and Shane, they discovered something new. We weren't doing as well as we could be with targeted services after school. The Y said, would you consider partnering? So with that, we'll stand for questions.